Hey babies, hey babies, hey babies, hey babies, hey babies, hey babies, babies, babies. Hi everyone. Hi everyone. What's up, Callow? How's it going? What's happening?
Good. How are you? How are you?
I'm all right. Hold on, I gotta show my hey babies thing. Hey
Oh,
babies, hey babies, hey babies. Flying to Miami today for joint practice number 2. Hey babies, I can't wait. I'm excited. I hope it doesn't rain. I hope some of our offensive linemen take part in it. I hope we have all the good stuff. Like no busts this week. That's what I'm hoping. No busts.
I was going to say the rainstorm should be very short if it's in Miami compared to New Jersey last week. So I'm sure if it rains, it's going to be for about 20 minutes and then you'll be done with it. So be completely different than last week, I would
It'll
think.
be a memorable 20 minutes though down there if I remember right what goes on down there. Or if it doesn't rain, it feels like it's 200 degrees.
Correct. Yes,
So
that too.
we'll
You
get a
have to.
little bit of that.
You do have to tell me because you're going to see him closer in person. Are Mike McDaniel's legs as small as he wants you to think that they are? Because
Okay.
you know that's his thing, right? He doesn't wear shorts because he's self-conscious about how small his calves are.
Huh?
He's
Same.
kind of like you. I was going to say,
Same.
kind of like
Oh
you.
my god, I knew I'd be buddies with. Like, I don't want to be buddies with this guy because I think he's weird. But like, I knew it. Same. I don't wear shorts very often. Like, I will pull bathing suit, but like at training camp, I wear pants. I don't wear shorts. I don't care how hot it is. I won't wear shorts because I don't like my legs. I think they're like too thin, so I wear pants.
Ridiculous. You're ridiculous. No one cares. No one
Yeah, they
cares.
do. Yeah, they
Oh
do.
my God. You're a 50-year-old man. No one's checking out your calves, bro. I'm just telling you.
But that's the point. If they did, they're like, ugh. That's the problem here.
But you're wearing black jeans in 95-degree
No,
heat
not
with
jeans.
humidity.
No. I'm not on social media much. I don't show you my look. I get training camp gear every year now. I get a
I
whole,
didn't know that. Oh, okay.
yeah.
Wait a minute. So what's the gear then? Like Adidas track pants? Is that what you're rocking?
Like close to it, yeah. Like mainly like joggers. I go joggers, different
Okay.
kinds of
All right.
joggers. As you know, plain t-shirts. I go plain t-shirt, but well-fitting plain t-shirts, joggers.
Sure.
I,
Sure.
I wish I had my hat with me. I'd show you the hat I've been wearing. I've got like one of those big bucket hats I wear.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
See if
Bucket
I
hat
could
or like
run.
the straw hat?
If this wasn't, if I could run out of here and show you, I would. But like you'd like it. I wear a big bucket hat now to camp, and then you'll be very proud of me. I'm hand picking shoes these days. Like, no, I have a whole training camp look. I've been getting like a lot of pushback about the hat from my family. They think it looks dumb. But outside of that, no. And me and McDaniel, same. I don't like showing off my legs. I'm out on that. I don't do that.
I will say I will give you props on these shoes. I noticed it on your video with Smoot and Jenkins. You were wearing some. They were gold Nikes. Do I have that correct? They were
Told you, I've
gold
actually
swoosh
put a lot of
Nikes.
thought into
Yeah.
this now. My annual training camp looks, I actually put thought into this. And then, then it disappears and then for the fall, the team issues me stuff to wear in the booth. So, the choices are limited.
I mean, you can attest to this. I tried to get you new kicks last year.
Yeah.
Remember, I had a whole Nike cart of stuff for you, and then you just, decided not to do it. But now I'm glad you've stepped it up this year because I think your kick game could have used a little work, and it clearly has. So
those were hand picked. The gold swoosh to go along with the burgundy shirt. I've been thinking about this stuff. I know.
Proud producer.
I'm an adult now. I'm an adult. I'm also aware that I don't have hot legs. So,
hot legs.
I don't have hot legs.
I need you to get in one of those McDaniel scrums, and then I need Kime to like take a picture of your legs side by side. And then if you have bigger legs than Mike McDaniel, you can feel better about yourself.
No, I think like if I ever got into one of those scrums like at the football field, it would look like the Jeff Van Gundy Alonzo Mourning thing is like what it's like. I would just be dragged around. No, but I'm aware, like I think I've gotten better looking as I've gotten older, but I still know that my legs are not hot. So,
not hot.
You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do.
Fair. Yeah.
All right. So here's what's going on with the team this week. Good news. Most of the offensive line is coming back. Andrew Wiley will be back, is expected to take part in the joint practice, is expected to play in the game. All things, stay the way they are. Nothing changes. He will do that at right tackle. And Cornelius Lucas will be back and will take part in the joint practice and take part in the game. Again, I don't expect a lot of, I don't know it yet, but like I've already gotten the hint that it's not going to be a lot for the starters again, like maybe a little bit more than last week, but not a lot. Like they're not going to, this isn't the old days where they play 3 quarters. Like they're not doing that anymore. So not a lot, but back. Brandon Coleman is a question mark. He's still a big if. They're taking it slow with him. I've been basically told that if this was a regular season week, that they might try to figure out how to get him on the field, but it's not. So they're going to take their time with him. So he's a question mark, and I'd be leaning more towards he's probably not going to take part in the practice or play this weekend. And we'll have to see, do they want him to get reps against New England if he can go, just to get his like feet wet playing out there? But I think the good news is I think we're going to get a little better judge. I think we can get a better judgment of where the offensive line actually is if we have both tackles out there, at least 2 of the 3 that would vie to actually start, and 2 of the 3 that are actually going to make the team and play prominent roles here.
Yeah, with Coleman, I just assumed he wasn't going to play this week. I mean, especially when they dropped that week-to-week designation, even if he could have gone, I was thinking he's too important now. I mean, the fact that he was listed as the starter, too, tells you everything you need to know, that they also think a little bit more highly of him. I know he's a rookie, but I'm not surprised he's probably not going to play this week. Wiley, that's good, too. The more we get in here, as I said, too, and I've been saying it for a month now, we're going to rotate these guys, too. I mean, we're going to see all of them. We've already seen basically all of them over the last week or so. So good. I'm glad we're getting one more into the fold. Coleman, though, I'm not surprised not going to play. He's too important at this point. I don't think we're going to see him for the rest of the preseason.
I think we will, actually, because I know that they really want to get a look at him because they really like him. And do you really want his first ever live action to be against Tampa Bay? So I have a feeling if they're not going to risk him. But if he can go next week against New England, I think he's going to actually get some reps out there. I think even if it's with Mariota and not even with Jaden, like I don't know what they're going to do next week, but like I would almost expect that to happen. We'll see. But like this week is not out; it's just unlikely at this point. Very, very, very unlikely. And with Wiley, I'm actually very, very interested to see where does he end up being in part of all of this, because like, I think it's clear. If anyone had a question of, is there a competition at right tackle? After watching everyone else, there is not. So he's become almost pivotal's the wrong word for this, but like they need him. And they need him to look like the guy he was in Kansas City, as opposed to what happened last year. And I talked about this in the offseason, and I still feel this way. I think he's one of those that gets a redo here, because I think that offense did him no favors. I think they put them in very difficult positions. I think they threw the ball way, way, way too much. And his strikeouts were bad last year, but if you really go back and watch, it wasn't like it was the strikeouts were bad, but it wasn't play to play was there really a problem. So I've been and I know a lot of the fans haven't been, but I've been really open-minded to different scheme. This guy's a pro. Give him another chance here to have a redo here. And secondarily, now that he's missed so much time in camp, there is nobody better than him playing the position. Nobody. So they need him. They need him to come back and play for them.
No, I mean, in that mulligan, I've said it all off season too. I think everyone gets one from the offense last year. Things were not only terrible scheme wise. You have Sam Cosmi complaining about not being able to wear backwards hats. You know how this works when those little things become giant things. Everybody suffers physically, mentally, all the way around. So no, he gets a mulligan just like everyone else on that offense gets a mulligan from last year.
I think so. All right. I already kind of mentioned it. I do expect Jaden to play this week. I do expect him to play maybe a little bit more than he did last week, but it's not going to be a ton. So, and I don't know what the plan is for New England, whether they'll play him or not. So I'll just have to see, but this could be it. The joint practice he'll get. I think they're going to do the same thing they did with New York. They give him a ton of time out there. They want the starters to get a lot of time. And then, I don't know, a couple series maybe is kind of my anticipation at most with him. I found this week to be really interesting because there was this kind of mini back and forth with, and we were laughing about all the Top Gun stuff. Is anyone really actually mad that he changed a call, and I'm trying to figure out why, why would anyone be mad that they changed a call? Because it was really funny. I was talking to Logan Paulson last night because we're getting set for the broadcast, and he was sitting there watching the Dolphins' first preseason game, and he goes, these guys are nuts. He's on a 3rd and something with like a lot of their primary players, they ran a reverse. He's like you wouldn't think, that anybody would do something like that in the preseason. And I wrote back to him. I'm like, we showed people that we could run a sprint option. So I don't know, they're like, I think everybody's kind of, all this, like, we're going to be vanilla. You got to test the other team. You have to try other things. He said they were running some weird personnel packages last week that were like not what they were doing last year. So he was like surprised that they actually showed this. And so there was this part of me that goes like, why is this such a big deal that he checked out of a play and threw a pass down the field? Like, he's an NFL quarterback. Isn't he supposed to do things like that? And I still there was part of me that was like, maybe they didn't want Tampa or the Giants or anybody to know that he's a little ahead of the curve. And then there's part of me that just goes, maybe they just want him to know they can trust him and play within guidelines. Like, I can't quite figure out, like why there was such a thing about that. But I'm not, it's in the past, but like, I'm still like trying to figure out what was the issue with him doing that. Like, I can't really, I don't totally get it.
Well, one, I think you were alluding it to yesterday. Maybe they don't want people to know that he's this far along, that he can do these types of things. The other thing, too, is it does sound like he was only going to get one drive. And so maybe that was their thing, too, of like, just go out and run this one drive. We don't really care how you look.
They don't really care. They didn't care about the results. Like, it was my understanding they were going to go run screen, like that was. And so that's probably 3 and out.
Right. Yes.
Planned for it. Like, planned to go 3 and out.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe that's the other part of this too, is they were kind of like, we just want you to get out there, get comfortable. And then next week we'll let you go a couple of drives. But at the same time, once again, how can you be mad that Jaden recognized that there was, this play wasn't going to work and he goes and changes out of it? I don't think, once again, context matters here. Like I said this to you on Monday. Quinn was laughing the whole time he was describing that situation, right? Like, he wasn't just stoic or by any means, or guys about it. He was laughing about it too. So yeah, like, I think it was, well, we didn't want him to change out of anything. He just happened to do it. The play worked. Good for him. Yeah. We told him not to, but he did it anyways. That's all it was.
I agree. And the funny part about it was like, he knew he wasn't supposed to do it, and how he's smiling at them in real time doing it, and how they're kind of like, but we really didn't want anyone to see you're doing this. It was, I don't know. But it is one of those moments I go back to and I go, like, if he comes out of the gate and let's just say he's rookie of the year this year, offensive rookie of the year, something like that, which, come on, he's the number 2 overall pick. Like, of course he could be. Quarterback, of course he could be. Like, we're going to look back at that moment and go, we knew it from the start. Like, that the first time he had to make a choice, he threw a dot 42 yards down the field to De'Ami Brown. So we'll see this weekend, but I expect a little bit more out of him. I'm hoping the Dolphins play some of their starters, because I'd like to see that. Like, I think lost in a little bit of this too was 28 guys didn't suit up for the Jets. None of their starters suited up. So I'd like to see the Dolphins put some of their guys out there and see what we get. All right. The other thing that happened yesterday was they did sign Martavis Bryant, who is big, by the way, big. You'll hear him today on Commanders Daily. I taped a little bit with him after practice amongst the other media. He's got an interesting story. He came out. He had a great start to his career in Pittsburgh. Off the field stuff started to happen. Couple injuries, but off the field stuff. He's been bouncing around. He has not played in an NFL game in 6 years. He was with Dallas's practice squad last year, so Quinn had some familiarity with him. They worked him out in the spring, but didn't sign him, obviously. And then it came back around, and they did here in the fall. So I'm not, like, me, I'm not an overreactor. I know a lot of people are, what does this mean for everybody? I don't think much, actually. I think, like, remember all that part that we just talked about. He has not played in a game in 6 years. He's not taking anybody's job overnight. Like, that's not happening. But he is, I think this is one of those classic, all right, bring him in. Let's take a look. He's talented. He's big. He's done it before. If he, rekindles what he had, or he, shows he's got the ability to do it, well, we have an option with him. But signing this guy, anybody who went out yesterday and started saying things like, what does this mean for any established receiver on the team? Nothing. Like Today, nothing. In a few weeks, call me maybe, but like not today.
No, I couldn't agree more. And it also, the corresponding move told you it meant nothing. They cut Ahmed. They cut a kicker. They didn't cut another wide. They didn't cut
my boy, the Miz.
They didn't. They didn't cut another wide receiver here. So that also tells you this is just another look. And this is where I'm at. I think I told you this, when they were tweaking the roster last week and the week before. I think, guys, it's time to just get used to this again. Rivera never did this, where he was bringing in those former talents, just shaking up the bottom of the roster. Every NFL team does this. We just haven't had it for 3 or 4.
Too.
Right. Yeah.
The good ones do. The good ones are constantly looking for ways to upgrade their roster. This guy may or may not do that for them, but they're going, why not? Let's take a look.
I feel like I need to remind people, remember 6 years ago, that's when Doug Williams was signing Reuben Foster. And yes, that was a bigger name and a little more, nuclear type name. And it got, them a little trouble. But this is what the teams that just normally deal with personnel do. They sign former talents. They see if they can stick. And it's a shakeup at the bottom of the roster. And guys, this happens week to week now with normal teams. Rivera literally never did this unless it was training camp, essentially, or there was, major injuries or whatever. But I just think this is one of those. Oh, we should just start getting used to this. He happens to be a name that we recognize. And if he sticks, great. If not, he might get cut next week for whoever they're shaking up in the linebacking core or the cornerbacks or whatever. That's what I kind of put it as hey, they look like they can get a name here. They can get him practicing. But for all intents and purposes, he might not play a single snap for them because he's just at the bottom of the roster.
In fact, I would be shocked if he played on Saturday because he's been here for a day. I mean, I guess maybe, but I'd be very surprised. But could they give him a look in the New England game? Yeah, why not? Go ahead, go up against third stringers on the Patriots. If you can't beat them or you can't show us anything there. So, this is a week and a half run. Maybe he gets a little bit of time in a preseason game. If he shows you anything, the practice squad rules are different these days. You saw it last. You could stash him there and keep him around a little bit, or you had a run with him for a week and a half. He's been available the whole offseason. If you cut him now, it doesn't mean you can't bring him back at a later date. Or if this is lightning in a bottle because he looks like the guy he was 6-7 years ago, well, then we'll have a conversation about that. But the overreaction to his signing, I thought was guys, we're a 90-plus-year-old franchise. We've done this before, right? You remember, right? We're just bringing guys in because we're trying to upgrade the roster we're turning over every rock. This isn't, he's not taking Jahan Dotson's job. Relax for a minute. Relax.
I mean, this could go to a more overarching conversation that the people that run, media entities in this town just don't know how to come up with some original topics some days. And so when they sign a 7th wide receiver to the roster that hasn't played in 6 years on a Tuesday, they all go crazy, and that's the only thing they want to talk about. So that just goes to a different kind of conversation.
Well, again, this isn't TO. Would you just relax?
Right.
Relax. He was a very good player 8 years ago. This has been a long time. And I think it's amazing the guy is actually still doing this right now based on what his track record was. And he's getting a shot here, but that's all he's getting is a shot. Remember last year, the Cowboys had him on the practice squad. He never played.
Right.
He never played.
Right. Exactly.
Let's see. We'll see how it goes. And I'm with you. They're just turning over. They're just kicking over all rocks, trying to make the roster better. You mentioned my guy, the Miz, got cut, so I'm not surprised.
Struggling Monday, right? Wasn't Monday the bad day?
Well, the funny part is so is Patterson. He's the one that missed the 39-yard field goal. And oh, by the way, this happened the other day in practice, and I have never seen this before. He hit both posts on back-to-back kicks, opposite posts. That's hard to do. Even if he was trying to do that, I'm not even sure he could pull that off. So he's missed a lot in these practices too. I will stick with, I don't think our kicker's on our roster right now. I've kind of felt that from the get-go that he's just not. Last week the Jets had Greg Zuerlein and Austin Seibert. I mean, those are 2 professional kickers. One of them's not going to be there, in the next week or 2. We're going to get the Patriots next week. Joey Sly is there. So is the former Chad Ryland, the former Terps kicker who was a draft pick a year ago. One of them is not going to be there. So I don't know. This guy better get things going down the middle of those uprights and really soon, or I'm not sure our kicker's on this team right now. And maybe like the other part is let's see how he functions with this dynamic kickoff thing, because everybody's trying stuff right now. And the kickers who are able to really place something and get the ground, what they call like a dirty kick now, because the hope is you're like just that extra second of someone having to pick up a loose ball to return it and hopefully stop them between the 20 and 25. Like that's the win on a kickoff now. So he's got to be able to show he can do that too. And I do find it interesting, like that they have kicking issues when in a year where you kind of really not even just rely on the kicker to make kicks, but you need them to show you that they're capable of doing some of this stuff on this kickoff thing that you want them to do. It's a disadvantage for them. So let's see how Patterson handles that this week too.
For sure. I mean, it's one of these ones where it's like an unknown, but I'm with you. Their kicker's not on the roster at the moment. And in fact, whoever's left with the Patriots, that's, I agree with you. That's who the next one coming in is going to be left.
Let's see. All right. The other one that's just hanging out there, we're waiting forever to end. And I just want this to end because I don't ever want to talk about this again, is I really want Brandon Aiyuk to go somewhere else. Like just don't be in San Francisco anymore, because you guys like are done with each other. Obviously, like he wants something they don't either want to give him. And he just wants to move on, and he hasn't thirst trapped us in a while, but like clearly if he had his way, he would. And I want this over with because I don't want to talk about it anymore. So I'm hoping Pittsburgh gets, it sounds like New England would do whatever it takes actually to get him, but he doesn't want to go there. He's ghosting them. And Pittsburgh, it sounds like he's kind of 50-50 on going to play for them, but they're at least willing to meet his contractual demands. Will they give up what San Francisco wants? That seems to be the reporting on that. But I guess we're running out of time, guys. Like this has gotta come to an end. And I'm assuming it's going to soon.
Yeah, I have to think once again, this is the Niners using the media to just see who else is out there. Does anyone else want to step up in the 11th hour and make a deal? Yeah, I think this is the Niners. This is the Niners going, it's preseason. No one's we're not in a rush to do this. So anyone else out there? Anyone else want to step up? Or I also think they actually are really hoping, hey, this deal's a reality. Brandon, think about this. Here's also the long-term deal that's in front of you, because that's what all the other reporters are saying, that there's not only a trade in place, but the Niners have their long-term deal out in front of them. I think they want him to legitimately think about this, because you and I have joked about it too, about how, he wants to win. Well, he doesn't want to go to New England because he can't win there. But then he's thinking about
to win. He's on a winning team.
Right. And not only that, you want to go to Pittsburgh, who's both their quarterbacks might not be there next year. And that division, as I say, is a bloodbath every single year. So I think they're sliding it in front of them and going, here are your options, dude. You say you want to win. Also, don't take for granted that Brock Purdy guy is going to be here for a while. I mean, you want to really go to Russ or Fields for a year and then have another situation where you don't know who you're going to be with? I think they're really just trying to make them think about this. I think they're at peace with trading them, but I think they're also sliding that deal in front of them going, sure you don't want to stick around here?
I'm sure they're actually pissed that he won't go to New England, because that's the all-time win for them on this, which is fine. They're going to give us what we want. You're going to get what you want. Enjoy life with a quarterback carousel for the next 3 to 5 years in a division with Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, and Tua. Good luck with that, buddy.
Yep.
And you don't go crying on Instagram to Jaden in a few months when you guys are 2-7. Like, don't, and then, I was on a winning team. Gee, I wonder why I left them.
Right. Exactly.
So that's where that's going, but we'll see. And I did see a little bit of Fields, by the way, the other day, because he started for Pittsburgh. I mean, I just hope, just for content purposes, that he does beat Russ out. Because, I just think that'll be fun. They don't get a tremendous amount, considering how much they've won over the years. It's funny they don't get the media attention. You would think that they would. But in this case, a pouting Russ in Pittsburgh would be amazing, because those people up there will not put up with it. And I think that would be, those people are not built that way. their whole thing is you're tough here. And if you're not tough here, you're worthless to us. So if he loses the job, the field, and pouts for a second on TikTok or wherever, they will run him out of town. It will be amazing. They'll run him out of town.
Tomlin has actually handled this very well because I followed this day to day just for like NFL stuff for my show. And what happened was Russ got hurt at the beginning of camp, right? So that opened the door for Fields. So Fields got a bunch of the first team reps, and Russ has been like in and out of the lineup, but Fields started that first preseason game for them. And Tomlin handled this perfectly. He said, Russ, came in the starter. He's still the starter, but Fields is going to start this game because Russ is hurt. Like, even Tomlin knows how to navigate this one to go, yeah, if I bench Russ this early, like, he's going to start bitching about it and want to be cut. And instead, I have to kind of navigate this as well. So you're spot on. Even Tomlin, though, knows how to fan these flames because I think he doesn't want anyone freaking out after week 2.
No. Tomlin's been around the block too many times, and he shuts it down really fast.
Yeah.
If you go anywhere, he just shuts it down really fast. All right, quick break. Bray watches the show. ESPN 630 Sports Capital. Welcome back. Bray watches the show. ESPN 630 the Sports Capital. If you're watching on YouTube today and you just saw Callow take a drink that looked like a beer, are you drinking in the morning? Is that what's happening?
No,
right
it's
now?
coffee, iced coffee.
It looked like a craft beer.
It's a craft beer can.
I see. Yes, that's what got me. You have a craft beer glass out, but you're drinking coffee in it. I'm like,
yes.
Wow, you were training for a marathon. Does that involve drinking in the morning?
I mean, it does involve more carbs. It probably could be argued that I want to do that, but
there's probably some like sports scientists going, you know what? I should look into that actually.
Not in the morning.
Yeah. New trend, drink in the morning if you want to work out your best.
If you want to be an alcoholic and train for a marathon, it can be done, apparently.
Yeah. If you want to become the best athlete possible, as it turns out, drinking heavily in the morning works in your favor.
It will numb the pain.
Night, do it in the morning. Get a good night's rest. Wake up, start drinking in the morning.
Those 7-mile runs hit a little different if you're feeling good going into it.
Yeah. Like that? Aaron Rodgers. He'd like that. He'd like that theory, right?
I don't think Rodgers can run 7 miles, actually. I don't think he could do that.
Ooh, really?
No, he can't run 7 miles. No chance.
You don't think, what? He's a professional football player who I think takes care of himself.
He doesn't run that far. He could run like 3 miles. Bet you he could run like 3 miles. He can't run 7. I think that's right over the threshold. Because I don't think he runs. I think he does like some warm-up stuff. He can't run 7 miles.
He doesn't move like he used to. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I would have I don't know. What is he? I guess when he does do these retreats, he's just sitting all day. He's not
conditioned to do that. Like, he could run a 5K. I'm not doubting that.
He's like, when he goes to Machu Picchu, it's not for a hike. It's to do the drugs.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And what's he doing in the gym? He's warming up for like a mile. He's not running 7.
Wow. Are you suggesting he's lazy?
No, I'm just saying that's a different kind of length. That's all. That's all I'm saying. You could run a mile, but I don't think you could run 4 miles.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Or him?
You.
I could. I don't want to. Like, that's not like, there's a difference between can I do it and do I want to do that? I could do it.
But there's a threshold.
Run, like full on run?
No. Like, I mean, running's running, dude. Like, I run like a 10-minute pace on a slow day. So you could run a mile, I think, but would you run 4 miles? Right? Like,
are you saying could I walk it or could I run it?
Jog. Could you jog 4 miles without stopping?
I could, but I would be in pain.
Okay. So as I'm saying, there's a threshold. Rodgers would not be able to go 7.
Earlier, I have small legs, so they don't help.
I don't anymore, but I mean, I'm just saying there's a threshold. That's what I'm getting at with Rodgers.
I think like my exercise, I don't like running. It hurts.
Well, yeah, that's the point. It's supposed to feel good.
But it doesn't feel good. It hurts.
Yeah, but you get the runner's high. You get the endorphins.
But I get that from almost any exercise where I exert myself, but my body doesn't have like a tremendous amount of pain. Like you'll find this funny. I've always wanted to try a boxing class, and I did like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, look at you.
I went to one. That was death. Okay.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
full on death. So, to your point on the cardio part of the whole thing, that's not my strength. Like I can work out for a while, but the cardio, like I don't run. Like I'll walk on the treadmill or I'll bike. I like biking. I'll do that for a long time. Like the spin classes don't bother me. Like that stuff, I'm cool. I could go ride a bike, but the running hurts my legs. Anyway, they made us do jump rope, burpees, and all these things before we started punching the bag. And about 15 minutes into this hour long, you get worried, like because you look at the clock and you're like 45 minutes to go and I can't breathe. And I'm like, oh no. And I had that burning sensation in my chest. I was like, oh God. And I was like, all right, like try to be tough it out. It's your first class. Can't quit 15 minutes in. And I let it go about another 5 minutes. And I felt like I was going to die. And so I stopped. I got some water, caught my breath, and I was fine. And I finished this thing. But that's how I feel about running. Like when I hear you're running 10 miles, like there will be a point in there where I will feel like I'm going to die. Like my chest will hurt so badly, I'll die.
Well, it's this thing. You work up to that. Like this weekend, I ran 14, which is the most I've ran since I restarted last year. Your face right now is like, go away. But there's factors to all of this. One of them, though, is the weather. Like, I'm in really good shape these days. Like, 10 miles for me is not crazy. When it was 90 degrees out a couple weeks ago, I was done, man. Like, instantly. Like, oh, this is bad. This is really bad. I don't know how I'm going to train for this. Saturday, it was 65 degrees, 70 degrees. I was good to go. So that matters, too, where the conditions actually matter quite a bit for me.
Like as you know, I'm a gym member these days and I do work out a lot, but like the cardio part of it's the hard part. Like I'll do yoga. That's strenuous. That's hard. The boxing class, I would love to, like, I came back from it and I was like, I need to do that again. Like I was like really upset that I was like in the middle of it, thought I was going to just cry, like literally start crying in the middle of it. Like, the teacher was very nice, he was like, but you could see on his face, he's like, another one of these, like he's seen this a million times before. Someone who's like, yeah, I'm going to try that. And 10 minutes into it, can't handle it.
Here's the deal with that though, is I've always thought they need kind of like a half-hour version to say, this is what you're getting into. Yes. And then you work up to it, because 100%. When you drop into that type of class,
100%,
you're done before it starts. And he looked at you and went, "Oh, this guy's not going to make it."
Here's the word, and this is what I wanted to say to them. I wanted to like send feedback to them, because like I called around and they were like, your first class is free, and I'm like, okay, and that's like the point I wanted to send back to them was, it shouldn't be that hard the first time, because there's a lot of people like me that go, I don't think I could do that again. Yeah. I want to in my brain, but I don't think I could. So
no, I mean,
do the 30-minute version and get people, hook them in that way. Like, oh, that was a really good workout, but I don't feel like I'm like never going to, like, I'm not gonna be able to do anything for 2 days after this.
No, that's 100%. Like I had a Peloton during the pandemic, and even their beginning classes were like, whoa, like, if you've never sat on a bike before, or like
people in,
and it was like, you got to ease this up a little bit. I think I rode that thing 5 or 6 times total before I got rid of it. So yeah.
What else is going on here? Oh, Minnesota.
No.
Minnesota. JJ McCarthy's already hurt. He has a meniscus injury. Last I saw, they didn't say how bad it was and whether he could actually come back or whether he's out for the year. So it's the Sam Darnold show now. And this just sucks because young quarterback, you just want to see him at some point. Whether he started the season or not, you just want to see him at some point. And so rough week for Michigan out there. Harbaugh's not the team captain anymore because they're pissed at him and he got a show cause penalty for something from 18 years ago. Good job, NCAA on that one.
Wink.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to give you a penalty now that you're never coming back to college football. Cool. Really smart move. And now we lost JJ. We don't get to see JJ anymore.
Mina Kimes has a bit where, everywhere Sam Darnold goes, he just somehow ends up being the starter eventually. So like all caps yesterday, like, no offense to JJ, but Sam Darnold's sleeper cell has been activated. He's going to be starting for the Vikings. It's like, yep, Darnold once again is going to be the starter for a team because he happens to be on a roster somewhere. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind of mad because he was the quarterback you and I and everyone else started looking at it like, oh, everyone wants him. Like, he's actually moving up the draft boards at the end of this thing.
This is the classic. I saw a little bit of Michigan last year, but I don't watch college football the way I watch the NFL. And, you just take a look at this guy and you go, he's not good. Just say he's one of those, you just look at him and you're like, oh, he's, I think this is like the Purdy thing within the NFL. People look at him and they're like, oh, he's not good. Like, he's not big. He doesn't have this big arm. You're like, he's the last pick of the draft. Like, there's no way he's actually good. Like, people just perceive it that way. And I looked at McCarthy and I'm like, oh, it's just their team. Like, there's no way that he's good. And then when all the scouts started to kind of coalesce around, I don't know, guys, he might be the second or third best quarterback. I started watching more of him and I agreed. Like, I would have taken him over Drake May, like in the end.
Yeah.
As far like on like the echelon of higher caliber athlete, you take May in a second. Like, that's not even in question. But from the who's better right now, I don't know. By the end of it, I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, I could see if the Giants were so hot and heavy to take a quarterback, why didn't they take him at number 6 if they were so hot and heavy to get one? So this sucks, though, for him that he's not going to be able to play. And he's one of those two where I go, I don't know whether he's good or not, but he does seem ahead of the curve. I do know the coaching he would have gotten there would have him an opportunity to excel. That matters. Like, he's the type of guy where I go, O'Connell, Shanahan, LaFleur, McVay, any of those guys McDaniel, any of those guys get their hands on him, then watch out. Like, he may end up being really good in a scheme like that.
And not only that, like, how this works when you have a rookie quarterback like that playing with the guy like Jefferson. We were going to get someone he's chucking it down the field just for that guy to get a chance too. And, that can win you a game in the NFL, win you more than a game in the NFL. I'm with you. He was one of the guys I really wanted to look forward to and watching, because also it matters too with expectations. No one expects the Vikings to win that division. I don't think people expect them to finish any higher than third. So when you don't have the expectations like that, it's always fun to watch a rookie quarterback. And so, yeah, it is a shame one of the storylines kind of goes away.
Did you hear what they did on their broadcast the other day?
With Jefferson, wasn't he on there? Yeah.
I heard it.
Yeah,
I heard it. I ended up, for reasons not worth explaining, I ended up driving back with London from the game after the Jets the other day for don't worry why. Anyway, we did. And so we were listening to like Sirius XM on the way down. And I heard Paul Allen, the voice of the Vikings, because it was on, go, Justin Jefferson is going to be mic'd up the entire third quarter with us.
Yeah.
I sent it immediately to the Commanders and went, you guys want to do this week? Because it was fabulous. I mean, like, fabulous. Now, granted, Jefferson doesn't realize, you can't just scream and yell constantly. And he did a lot of it. And fortunately for them, the Vikings scored twice. And you just hear him, like Allen's about to make a call, and you hear Jefferson all of a sudden just go, he got him. He got him. He just starts screaming this stuff. And then you hear like the reaction on the sideline when whoever caught the touchdowns walking back over with him. It was amazing. Like, it was messy in our world. It wasn't, as we would like to describe it, as clean, but it was amazing. Really amazing.
No, I mean, look, no offense to what you do, but once the second half of these preseason games hit, that they become talk shows, not really calling the game. You're still calling the game, but you got to stretch things out there.
Until Tressway goes commando on you.
Right. Yes. But like, I know how it is. I used to produce, the broadcast. Those second halves really become productions, not just games. They become full on productions, and you get a lot of halftime guests or, second half guests pop on the mic or whatever. Good on the Vikings. That's a genius move, because I'm sure people were tuning in specifically for that.
It was awesome. Yeah, I wrote them. I'm like, hey, is Terry available to come on for the entire third quarter?
Sure. Right.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, let me take a quick break. Bram watches show ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. Bram watches show ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. I haven't talked about the Orioles in weeks with you because I've been in total football brain, but they are playing the Nationals, and the Nationals beat them last night. So you want to just update me? Like what's going on these days with our two local base? And I apologize to them in advance. I typically pay attention to both of you, but in training camp, I become football brain, and everything else kind of doesn't matter for me for a few weeks.
Orioles, we'll start off with there, keeping pace with the Yankees. They are tied atop the AL East now. Well, actually, I guess last night the Yankees did move ahead. They beat the White Sox. Your boy Juan Soto, 3 home runs last night against the White Sox.
I saw like 2 nights ago they lost to them like badly.
Yeah.
And then they posted like the White Sox happened to be 1-24 in their last 5 games. Like, oh, that would be frustrating if you lost to a 1-24 team.
Correct. But they're keeping pace with each other, the Orioles and the Yankees. So the Orioles fully on this race for the best team in the AL. It's actually funny. The Guardians now have kept pace with them as well. Yeah. So the winner of the AL might not be in the AL East. Like the Guardians might take this thing as well. But if you haven't heard, Jackson Holliday has arrived. The perceived downfall of him was over exaggerated, and he's now best young player in the league again. So the Orioles once again are like, trust us, we've got this. So the Orioles keeping pace there. With the Nationals have gotten a little interesting here, where James Wood also has arrived. He had another good day yesterday against the Orioles, and you're the one that likes to point out who's the star here. Where do we see the next guy? He's here. I mean, okay. James Wood is the truth here. I will go to a point, though, when you talked to Ryan Zimmerman a couple weeks ago on your show, Zim made a great point, and he was right on time. He basically said to you, I love this young pitching staff. Let's see how they start now, though, because now they're starting to pitch into unknown territory. It's their longest, time they've been pros to pitch in a season. Yeah. The wheels are coming off the starting pitching. The young starters are not going deep into games. Their ERAs are starting to shoot up. Last night was fine with Irvin, but you're starting to see the season starting to wear on these guys. That's okay. Like Zim predicted that perfectly. You want to hope, though, now you're probably going to shut down a few of them come September. And then hopefully they get in the gym and they elongate, their conditioning and everything else. But the Nationals, this reminds me of 2011, the year before they made the playoffs for the very first time. You could see the groundwork. It's going to be the same point, though, that you and I have talked about. Who are they going to spend on? Are you going to add a bat? Are you going to add a starter? Are you going to trade for a really good reliever? It's kind of put up or shut up now for the learners. Your base is here now. You're probably going to see Dylan Cruz in September, I would think. Yeah. He's starting to tear it up in AAA. So they're really going to probably take form here in September. We're going to find out who are you going after in the offseason. So both arrows now pointing up. Orioles, they just have to keep pace with the Yankees. I was shocked at the result last night, though. I did not think they were going to get blown out by the Nats. And they were. I don't think you should be worried. The Nats lineup is boom or bust every single night. I could see the Nats getting shut out tonight and not be surprised at all.
I did mention the White Sox. I did look this up. I wanted just to see, because when I saw 1-24 and, I like car wrecks, I'm like, where's this historically? I was like, I want to see where this one is. Minus 241 run differential going into last night. The worst ever in the modern era is the 1932 Red Sox, minus 349. So they got some work to do, but that's possible, right? That's possible. They'd have to be really bad the rest of the way. They'd have to lose the vast majority of their games, which they probably would, and they'd have to lose them badly for that to actually happen. Like they'd have to lose by an average of about 4 runs a game to make that happen, but that seems possible here. And then the worst ever run differential in baseball history is the Cleveland Spiders in 1899, where they were outscored by 723 runs. And I'm like sitting here going, that is maybe the worst thing I've ever heard of in my life. That means you lost every game by at least 5 runs.
Well,
every game.
And it was to like 6 teams. How many teams were around in 1899?
Right.
Right. There were 4 other teams, and none of them.
Right. They played this. Right. That's what it is. They played the same 5 teams 100 times. Those 5 teams all had Hall of Famers, and they had 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Basically what happened.
Yeah. Not great, Bob.
No, not great, Bob. O's and Nats again, right? Tonight?
Yes. 6:35 first pitch, 6 o'clock pregame on ESPN 6:30. Yes.
Oh, yeah. One more thing on the White Sox. They're 15 games behind the second worst record in Major League Baseball this year.
Yep.
This is in modern sports, it's hard unless you're doing it on purpose, like in basketball. Like basketball teams do this, where they're like, we're going to be terrible, like, and they do it on purpose. I think it's hard to do in another sport to be this bad. Even if you're trying it, I'm not even sure that they are. Like, it's hard to be this bad.
Well, they're one of those major league teams that has a bunch of holes and they haven't tried to get better. That's the problem. They're one of these teams. They're like the Pirates. I mean, the Pirates now have Skeen, so they're trying again, but this is the problem in Major League Baseball. You get teams like this that are like, oh, I guess we're bad, guys. And then fired their manager.
Are purposefully bad. Like the A's are. They're purposeful because they're just not spending money on anybody. So like I get what the score is like, but the White Sox don't have that excuse and aren't moving to Vegas. So
true. They also fired their manager, and I was kind of like, you don't have a major league roster. So why are you even firing the manager? Like, what does that do? That doesn't do anything for anybody.
All right. I got to run. We'll give you a good primer for the joint practice tomorrow. Bram Show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital.